What's going on, everyone? Horace here. And over the weekend, I went to go see the new Joker movie, so I'm just going to be giving you guys my opinions and stuff on that. There is going to be spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, just don't watch the video, I guess. But basically, I'm just going to be giving you what I thought of it and all that. So it starts out, shows him at his job. He's like a clown, like just trying to like make people laugh and stuff. And he shows like he has like a couple friends there. They're well, not exactly his friends. They're pretty much jerks to him. And then he's going out to a job and he's got a sign. He's twirling whatever, and then some people like beat him up over it. And so he's like he got like beat up basically, and he got mugged for the sign, which is kind of a stupid thing to get mugged for, but nonetheless he got mugged. So then a guy from work, Randall, gives him a gun, and he's like, yo, you need to protect yourself, you're my boy. And this is going to be like really important later on. So he gets him that, and like, oh no, this can't be good. He's like, yo, I can't have a gun, because he has a mental issue that causes him to like laugh, and he's like very psychotic and stuff. But turns out later on in the movie, he doesn't actually have a mental condition. His mother as a child beat him a lot, and her boyfriend like found him in his house like strapped to a radiator, which is kind of weird. But anyways, he gave him the gun nonetheless. And so later on, he was taking the subway to get home from a job at the hospital, and he was already kind of mad because there's a children's hospital, and he brought in the gun, and he dropped it, and he got fired over that because he brought a gun to a children's hospital. So he's on the subway, and some people are like just basically, well, not exactly harassing, but just like catcalling this girl, and he starts laughing, and they're like, yo, you think that's funny, punk, you know, in a voice like that. And he's like, no, sorry, because he's like, yo, I have this condition. He gives them the card, and they like start like singing and like songs about clowns or something, because he's still in his work costume, I guess you could say. So they're all doing that, and then they start beating them up, and it's like, oh no, it's happening again. Poor Arthur, because his name's Arthur Fleck. So he's getting beat up, and like, oh, it's gonna happen again. And then out of nowhere, you just hear a loud bang, and there's brains and blood all over the wall, because you realize, oh, he shot one of the guys. And they shoot the other one, and there's bodies on the floor, and third guy, he's just running, So he's running for it, and he chases him a bit, and then they get to a stop, and he's like dodging around the door, because he's in one car, and the Joker's down a couple other cars. And he's like, oh, what do I do? And he decides to make a run for it. And he already got shot in the leg, so he's kind of wobbling a bit. And then Joker, he shoots him in the back, and he falls down. He's trying to crawl up the stairs, and he gets really close to him and just fires until he's all out of ammo. And actually, the scene was pretty disturbing. But Joaquin Phoenix, who's playing the Joker, he did a really good job. Like, he nailed the role as Joker. He did like the laugh perfect. He just felt like he was pretty much perfect for the role, not gonna lie. So like, you think he would be like, oh my god, what did I do? But he like says like, I thought that would affect me, but it really didn't. It made me feel a bit bitter. Like, okay, so obviously this guy's screwed up. And then he's like, the funding for the psychologist he goes to for his mental condition gets cut, so he's going, and he left. And basically Thomas Wayne, he was like his idol, and his mother loves him, like his show or whatever, because he's like on TV. Oh no, that wasn't him, that was Murray something. But yeah, his mother likes Thomas Wayne nonetheless, because she keeps telling him that he's his father. And he goes to his house, and then he tries to strangle Alfred, the butler. And that's like the scene where he puts his hands through the gate and makes Bruce Wayne smile. So yeah, he goes to like this event, like a theater that he's attending. It's not the one where he gets murdered though. And he goes to the bathroom. It's like, you're my dad. You know, that reminded me of that meme, like, you're my dad, wookie, 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 whatever. But yeah, he's like, yo, you're my dad. And he's like, no, I'm not, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you're my dad. It's like, no, you were adopted, I never loved your mother, because they used to work together. And he's like, oh, you're lying. So now he wants to know, is that true, is he lying? So he goes to a mental hospital that his mom used to be in, and he's like, what files do you have in your mom? And he's like, these, but I can't give them to you. So he steals them, and he finds out that he was adopted, And the reason that he's so messed up is because his mother would beat him, and they found him like tied to the radiator. But I said that before. So yeah, he's like really mad. And his mom's in the hospital because she took a stroke. So she goes there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take care of you." And then he just like slowly just puts his hands around her neck and just starts squeezing, and he strangles her, which was actually the least messed up out of all the murders. And also there's a part where he has a girlfriend, but it's all in his head. It was like really confusing. Like I thought like there was an actual thing, but he was just all imagining it. Like, cause he's like kind of delusional, whatever. So that kind of confused me a bit. But yeah, he kills his mother too. And then the guy from work, Randall, the dude who gave him the gun, and this midget, Gary, and Gary is an absolute god. Gary's the best. So they go to his house, and he's like, and they're like, "Oh, are you okay? How you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm great. And then out of nowhere, you see scissors in his hand. He turns around, stabs Randall in the chest, then he pulls it out, puts the knife into his eye socket, and just starts slamming his head against the wall over and over again. And Gary's freaking out, because why wouldn't you be? Like, that scene was like pretty disturbing. I'm like, oh my god, if he kills Gary, I'm gonna be so mad. Luckily, he didn't kill Gary, though. I would've been so upset if he killed Gary. But Gary was fine, like, because basically he was like, "Oh, Arthur, why the hell would you do that?" And, he's like, "Oh, it's okay, Gary. You can leave." And he went to the door, and since he's a midget, he couldn't reach the lock. He's like, "Arthur, could you go, get the lock?" And I thought he was gonna, like, be like, "Oh, yeah, sure," and then he just goes and, kills him, but he didn't do that, luckily. He was like, he opened it and they closed it, and he's like, no, don't do it. And he's like, "Oh, Gary, you're the only one I ever liked. You're the only one who's nice to me." And then he kissed him, and he didn't say no homo. So that's kind of bad for Joker there. But yeah, thank God for Gary. We need a standalone Gary movie. Yeah, but anyways, then he's like, "Oh, later in the day I get to go on the Murray show, the Murray, I can't remember his last name, show." Yeah, well, that's not what he said, but I just can't remember his last name. So he gets there, and he's going out. He's like, "Yo, can you introduce me to the Joker?" Like, that was in the trailer. And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Oh, I'm not political, all this." And he's like, "Yeah, I killed those 3 people in the subway because it was all over the news." And he's like, "You're serious?" He's like, "Yeah." Then he told a joke. It was the worst joke ever. He was like, "Knock, knock." And Murray's like, "Who's there?" "Ma'am, it's the police. Your son's been killed by a drunk driver." It's like, what the hell? No, like, no one was laughing. Yeah, but basically he had a comedy gig that he went to, and so he showed the clip to him. That's why he wanted them on the show. And he's like, "You know who I really hate, Murray? You." And Murray's like, "Yeah, why do you hate me?" He's like, "'Cause you showed my clip and you made fun of me in front of everyone." He's like, "How about we hear another joke? What do you get when you cross a psychotic person and a society who doesn't like him and accept him for who he is?" And he's like, "Why?" And then he's like, "You get what you fucking deserve, Gary." And he pulls out a Glock and just shoots him in the head. It's like that's the best line in the entire movie. It's just amazing. So he does that, and everyone's like freaking out. Then he just stands up and shoots him in the chest again. And he like goes up to the camera and he's like, "Oh, folks, that's life." Because that's like basically Murray's catchphrase, and it was all over the news, so obviously he was going to jail. And while he was just like calmly having a conversation with the policeman, and then out of nowhere an ambulance was really loud, just crashes into the car, and there's a big accident, and like there's a giant riot going on because he started basically an entire movement like kill the rich and stuff. So the entire riot's going on, and then he just they pull him out of the car, and he like stands up, and there's blood in his mouth, and he just takes it out and smears a little smile. And that's like basically the end until he goes to a mental hospital, and he's like finally happy. It's a pretty messed up ending, but yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. If you guys enjoy, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.